So it's been, if it's been a week or maybe a little bit less than a week, the changes I saw happened in 3 days. But here I am, it's been almost a week. Sorry, picking up random pieces of metal. Okay, so the yellow on these trees, I'll try and get close enough so you can see. This one had just a couple little yellow leaves. This one still has a couple right next to the trunk, but it had more than that. This one had some really bright yellow leaves, and you can see on the ground a lot of leaves had fallen, but you can see that it's actually turned green again. There's a couple that are still a light, well, they're a mix of green and yellow now. So you can see what I did. I took my frothy litter that had goat manure in it, and then I put moldy manure on top to hold it in, because with flooding, the straw will float away if you don't have something heavy. And this old bad straw was already somewhat saturated, so it held it down. And underneath the frothy, floaty straw, I put a bucket of rabbit manure right down at the base of the roots. And then this one looked like it was going to die. It was short and it was starting to turn yellowy, but you can see now it's starting to turn green again. And this one looked like it was on its way out. But can you see, like one side of it still has some dead on it, but everything that was yellow has turned green again, and it's actually it put out some new leaves. Again, floaty straw on the bottom that had manure in it that the chickens had dug up, so I guess it would be more like straw compost or something. Underneath that I had rabbit manure, and on top of that I had the old black straw so that it will hold the straw down. And this one, can you see that it's, let's see. It turned green again and the leaves stopped falling off. So that one's gonna make it too. And that one just looks like, oh, nothing ever happened. I'm fine. What are you talking about? I was dying. And so that happened in 3 days. I watered every day with rabbit manure tea for 3 days. For 3 days, I came out and gave them 2 gallons of water each of rabbit manure tea. Not a real heavy dose. It was a lighter rabbit manure tea. So it was more like the color of tea rather than color of coffee. And then I came out on the 3rd day after I'd watered, put the rabbit pellet manure at the base of the tree, took the lightly soiled goat bedding, not the heavy packed stuff, but the light stuff, although that probably would have been good for him too. And then I took, this is not used straw, this is a moldy straw that was in bales that was slightly wet, and put it over the top so that it would hold in. And that one down there looks fine too. And I also came and put rabbit manure along the base of my blue spruce. I haven't done it around the dogwood yet, because the dogwood, even though they're small and probably a little stunted, they're not dead. But I do need to come out, and I don't want to waste my time by giving them rabbit manure tea. I'm just going to put rabbit manure along the base, and then maybe put a chunk of old straw over the top so that the rabbit manure won't float away. That was part of the reason for the mulch. Let's see if I can close that back out. If I'm going to put rabbit manure down, I don't want it to float away. And it will float away unless it's saturated in urine or water. And so the time it takes for it to rehydrate, it will just float away. So you do have to anchor it down somehow. But every time we water now, a little bit of that rabbit manure is going to disintegrate and get down into those roots, so that I don't have to water with rabbit manure tea. The only problem is you have to have enough rabbit manure to be able to do that, and I didn't. I did go and get some from friends. And I'm trying to think. So I'm really, really impressed with the dogwoods. Can you see the dogwoods? Let's see. Where is it? I can't. There we go. There's 2 dogwoods. And the ones that got the least amount of water are the ones that have done the best. These over here got lots of water. These over here got the least amount of water. I did, let's see. Yeah, these ones got the least amount of water. They got water for like maybe an hour every other week, whereas the ones over there got 4 hours every other week. Which, again, there's not really much I can do about that because when we flood, it goes to the lowest point first. And we could get a laser leveler in here to do this, but the problem is our space is so small and we have this basement in the middle. It would be hard for the laser leveler to be able to turn around in our pasture. And I'm really pissed off at the chickens because my old trees that had manure around the base, when I came out and put rabbit manure along the bottom, they saw it as a new treat. And so you can see they came out and they scattered my manure, or not my manure. Although, yeah, they did scatter the manure, but they also scattered the straw. So all that straw that you see there in here used to be around the base of these trees. So now it looks like I need to come out and give some more mulch to these trees. You see they look really good. And these are the ones that get the least amount of water. I just think that's fantastic. Isn't farm work fun? It's like so completely scientific. This worked. This is why I think it worked. This is why I think it didn't work. Now I know never to try that again, or now I know to do this every time. So what I would always do in the future is I would take, in the fall, I would take my old barn litter that's quite soiled, and come November, let's see, when you first start to get snow, I would put it around the base, and then every time it snows or rains after that, it will percolate down into the soil and feed it for next spring. I wouldn't do it necessarily in the rainy season because then it will, or when I'm flooding, because then it would get such a huge rush of nitrogen, it could kill the tree. It could burn the roots if you have a lot of heavy water. So I would use barn litter, heavy barn litter in winter. And the other reason I would do that is because voles don't like manure. And so if you've got all this manure around the tree, then you've got kind of an automatic rodent, vole, mouse deterrent. And the voles do not like sawdust or wood chips as much as they like straw. Straw they don't mind. Slugs also like straw, but they don't like wood. So if you have an option between the two, if you don't like slugs and you don't like voles, I would use stable litter and wood chips. And it's raining. It rained last night, now it's raining. It's so nice. I have shortened up all of my ropes. I have found that if I can keep them in a small area, enough for one day, maybe 2 at the most, then they will eat everything down to a good length, and then I can just move them over to the next short spot. Especially with jumper, that works.